What's up guys, Brian here and I'm back again with another awesome video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to get this amazing charcoal looking, melanin dripping skin tone in Photoshop. You can make the person to be super dark. If you don't want it to be all that dark, if you don't want the person to look like charcoal, I'm also going to show you how to just add a little tan to the skin using this technique. Not only that, I'm also going to export the grading as a lot so that you can always apply it anytime, anywhere, easily without having to create it from scratch every time you want to use it. This video might be a bit lengthy because I'm going to really explain so that you understand how to create this effect from scratch whenever you want to, anywhere you want to, so that you don't have to depend on the lot all the time, so that you can always create the look you want the way you want it. So without further ado, let's begin. This is the image we are going to work with. This is the final look. I went for it, and this is the before. This is how the lady looks like naturally, and this is the enhanced melanin skin tone we are going to recreate. I'm going to show you guys how to create. So let me hide this first one that I did. Good. Let me just say right there, old. Great. So we are going to do it from scratch. The first thing you have to do is to make selection of the skin, the person's skin. Just select all the skin in the picture. And why we are doing that is we want to restrict the effect to only the skin, because be it in the studio or outdoor, when you apply this effect, it's going to make everything way darker and desaturated than they actually were. So we want to make sure that it's only applied to the skin. So to select the skin, there are so many ways to do that in Photoshop. One way of doing it is you can go to select, under select color range, and when this window pops up, you just select skin tones, and you can play around with it. But the thing is, since the background and her skin tone are close to each other, it won't really give me an amazing result. So I'm going to do it manually. So to do it manually, I'm going to use two tools here: the quick selection tool and the lasso tool. So for the quick selection tool, you can use the keyboard shortcut W. Just press W on your keyboard and select it, then just touch the part of the image you want to select, and Photoshop will use its AI and try to predict based on the surrounding area and make a selection of that area for you. It won't be perfect. It will make some mistakes. At the top of your Photoshop frame here, you can see there is a plus and minus icon. So if it's selected more than you wanted, just click on the subtract here, the minus, and come and deselect the part that you don't want. If it's selected less than you wanted, you can come to the plus here and just click and drag on the part that you want it to add. If you want a bit more, if you don't want the AI to predict and mess up the selection, maybe you just want to refine it a bit further, what you could do is you could use the lasso tool here. The keyboard shortcut for the lasso tool is L, so you just click on it, and this one you can manually draw the part you want to add or subtract from the image. So just as with the other tool, there is the option to add and subtract. So I'm going to click on add, and then I can just draw this part and add to the selection. I can click on subtract and then draw this part and subtract from the selection, just like that. It will take some time to make a perfect selection of this skin because there are some parts are covered with hair, but I made the selection earlier before this video. If I come to the old folder here, you can see it here. So I'll just use the selection I made earlier on. But with that method, you can easily make selection on your own image. And then after that, let's continue. So after you make your selection, the next thing you have to do is to create a folder or a group. So to create a group, just come to the bottom of the layers tab here, the layers panel here, where your image layers are being shown. To the bottom, you see this folder icon here. Just click on it and it will create a new group. Now let's rename this group to charcoal skin tone. can call it whatever you want. I just like this name. Then what we are going to do is to apply this layer mask to this group, so that whatever we are doing, whatever modification or adjustment we are doing, will affect only the skin. So to add a layer mask to this, just come to the bottom of the layers panel once again and click on this add layer mask button here. So just click on add layer mask, and the selection you made will be converted to a layer mask. Now with layer mask, as I explained in one of my previous videos, what is white will be revealed and what is black will be hidden. So the part that is white will reveal the effect and the part that is black will hide the effect, which means that whatever we do will show only on the skin. The next step after you've created the group and added the layer mask is to add the adjustment layers that we're going to use. Now let me explain something here. The human skin generally consists of two colors, reds and yellows. If there's any other color, it's probably due to a color cast. Maybe there's something is contaminating the image. So what we are trying to do is to remove the red and yellow in the skin so that the person will look darker. The first adjustment layer we are going to use for this is the black and white adjustment layer. So to access the adjustment layers, just come to the bottom of the layers panel once again. You see this icon that is half black and half white. Just click on it and come down to where you see black and white. Just click on it and it will be added to the group. Make sure the group is selected so that the adjustment layer will be added inside the group. Now you can see the person is now black and white. That's not the look we want. We just want the person to look melanin, not black and white. So we'll come up here just under the layers panel once again. You see this normal, just click on it. We'll change the blending mode to multiply. Now we have a better effect, but you can still see some reds and some yellows in the skin. So just move this slider inward to reduce that red and yellow, and you can see like she's really, really dark, like very, very dark, which is what we want, but not exactly as it is now. So let me close this. The next adjustment layer we are going to add here is the hue and saturation. So come to this button once again, scroll down to where you see hue and saturation, click on it, and it will be added to the group. Under the reds, just click on the master here. It will bring out a drop down menu. Go to the reds, desaturate it. You can notice, just watch the skin. This is before, watch the skin, and this is after. She's much darker here. Then go to yellow too and desaturate the yellow. Remember what I told you, we are trying to bring out the red. The more red and yellow we bring out of the skin, the darker the person will look. So now we have a very dark looking skin tone. But we are going to do something else. We are going to make further modifications. If you notice, the blacks here are like too black. We can barely see some part of the face. So what we are going to do is we are going to add, we are going to lift some shadows, like the darkest part of the image, so that we can see what is in that part. So for this, we'll use the curves adjustment layer. We'll come down to adjustment layer tab button here and click on curves. What curves does is that it helps you to, play around with the light in the image. So here is the shadows, here is the midtones, and here is the highlight. So for the shadows, I'll actually make it darker. Then I'll lift the highlight up so that it will create contrast. But at the bottom here, this is where we have the blacks of black, like the darkest portion of the image. I'm going to lift it up. Just click on this node here and raise it up, and you notice that some details will be revealed in the darkest portion of the image, just like that. You can now see the details here. Let me toggle before and after. Watch before, after. Some details can be seen here. Now if the white is too much, you can just use this other one at the top, the node at the top, bring it down, and it will flatten it out. But I don't really want that. What I want is to probably play around with the midtones a bit. Okay, I think I like that. I love that. If you are not good with curves, you don't like using curves, another tool that you can use for this is levels. There are so many tools in Photoshop. There are so many tools you can use to do the same thing in Photoshop. So just come down here, go to levels, and in levels, this slider is similar to the ones in the curves. This one makes it darker. This one makes it brighter when you drag it in. So I'm going to make the darker, just a bit darker, make the bright much brighter. Then this other slider at the bottom is to lift the shadow, just like we did in the curves layer. So I can also kill some of the highlights. So with that, you notice that some details will be revealed in the darkest part of the image, just like that. You can also use this middle slider to play around a bit more. So if we toggle the levels and the curves, you notice that they kind of have similar effects. So I'll delete the levels and leave the curves to be there. At this point, we have the desired results that we needed. All you have to do is just to bring down the opacity so that it will give you the look that you actually want. You can, if you are a pro, you can play around more with this. Like personally, I'll play around more with this. Just add more adjustment layer and all that. But for a beginner, this is more than okay. Even for a pro, this is also okay, unless you have a different look in mind. So at this point, you just bring down the opacity to control the intensity of the effect on the skin. Now let me show you what I meant by layer mask restricting it. If I turn off this layer mask here, you notice that the effect will be applied on the overall image, which has messed up the color of the skin and the color of the outfit and the color of the background. So when I turn on the layer mask, you notice that the effect is applied only on the skin. So I'll just reduce this one. Let's take it to 0%. If we increase it to, like, let's say 30%, the effect is minimal. Increase it again to 40, more and more melaninated. Keep increasing, more melanin, and at 100% pure charcoal. So you can always use the opacity to control the intensity of the effect you want on the skin. So if you just want a little tan, you can make it, let's say 12% or 20%, and you can see a little tan. If you want something more intense and more artistic, you can go up and you can see before, after. Then if you want to go ultra, you can go up to like 80 something, which is how I like it. So this is the look. Let me also mention something else. If you want to erase the effect from some part of the body, let's say maybe you want to bring back some of the red in the lips, or the person had makeup and you want to erase the effect from some of the makeup, you just use the brush tool and change your foreground color to either white or black. White will reveal the effect and black will conceal it. So now we want to hide some of the effect from the lips. So we'll make sure that our foreground color is black. To switch the foreground color, just press X to switch between the foreground and the background color. Then to reset your swatches to black and white, you press D. So I'm going to make black my foreground color. Then you can increase the flow depending on how much intensity you want to add or subtract. I'm going to, with my foreground color as black and my flow as 20 and my layer mask selected, I'm going to just brush over the lips. And you can see that the effect has been reduced. The more I brush, the more the effect will be reduced. So 20% will be reduced each time. So if we go back, this is how it was, and with the little 20, this is 20% less on the lips. So that is how to do that. Then let me show you another thing. If you look at the skin now, you notice that the skin looks weird when you put it side by side with the overall image. Like the skin is much darker than even the hair that is supposed to be like the darkest. So what we'll do, or what you should normally do when you apply this effect, is to also tweak the overall background to match the skin. Let me show you what I mean. If you press Ctrl or Command and then click on the layer mask, it will make a selection out, the selection you made before, out of the layer mask. So what I want to do now is to reverse it so that it will select everything aside from the skin. The inverse of the skin will be the background. So I'll go to my selection tool here, any selection tool, just right click on the image and select and click on select inverse. Now everything aside from the skin is selected. I'll create a new group and call it background. Okay, I'll add the layer mask, then I'll call it background. Good. What I want to do is I want to darken the hair a little bit more so that it will match the darkness of the skin. There are so many tools you can use here. You can use the levels, you can use the curves, but I'm going to use the selective color just so that you see it's possible. Oh, I choose the wrong tool. Selective color. Yep. Then under the selective color, under the colors, I'll just click and select black. Now under the blacks, I'll just increase the blacks here to, let's say, like 7, and as you can see, it fits the skin more right now. So if I take it to 7, you can see that the black now fits the skin. Look at this. This is before, this is after. It now looks like that's her actual complexion. I can even increase it further. Let me make it 8. Okay, yeah, that even looks better. Okay, something else I just want to do to make the skin pop a bit more is to adjust the hue of the background. So with the hue and saturation adjustment layer, I will slightly change the hue, take it towards yellow. Then I'll increase the saturation a whole lot. Yep, I think that looks good. That looks amazing. As you can see, the dark skin now pops out of the background much more than it did like this. So the yellow makes this contrast with the skin and makes it to pop. Something else I'm going to do is to add brightness and contrast. That's brightness. Then I'm going to add some contrast here. And now you can see the image comes to life. So what I'm trying to do with this last step is to show you that sometimes only toning the skin won't make the image as amazing as you want. You have to also adjust the background to fit the skin tone you selected. So this is before and this is after. What I'm going to do next is to export this skin tone that we just created so that you can download it for free and apply it to your images. So just hang around, let me export it, then I'll show you how to apply it, and then we'll also test it on another image to see if it actually works. Alright guys, I just created the lot, so let's apply it and see if it works. So I'm going to delete the skin toning. Okay, let me not delete it, let me just turn it off. I just turned it off. What we are going to do to apply a lot to your image, you just go back to the adjustment layers button here, then come down to where you see color lookup, click on it, and it will bring up the color lookup table. Just click on the load 3D lot here and click on load 3D lot again. It will open your finder. So now you go to where you saved the lot. It should be in your download folder, but mine is in my desktop. So under desktop, I'll just select the lot and click on open. And right now you can see the effect is applied on the overall image. It actually looks cool, but that's not what we want. So I'm going to apply a layer mask so that the effect will be restricted to only the skin. I'll come back here. Okay, I'll first delete the layer mask on it. I'll come back to the layer mask we created previously and copy it by clicking Alt, by holding the Hold button, then I'll drag and drop on the color lookup table. Now if I click on it, you see the effect is applied on the skin. Now that's a whole lot, so I'll bring down the opacity to about, let's say, 80 as we did previously, and that looks way better. If I now apply the background adjustment and the brightness, you see that we have the exact same look as we did with all those adjustment layers in the folder with just one file. So let me show you what I mean. If I turn this off and turn this previous one on, you see it looks the exact same way. Now let's apply this to another image and see if it actually works. I have a beautiful image here, and what we are going to do is to make a selection of the skin. I'm going to come to the quick selection tool once again, just make a quick selection of the skin. Okay guys, I've made selection of the skin. I'm going to come down to my adjustment layers button down here and then go back to, color lookup. Then the layer mask will be applied to the color lookup adjustment layer automatically. I'll come back to load 3D lot, click on load 3D lot once again, and then select the lot that we just created, and boom, the effect will be applied automatically. Now this is a lot, so remember what I told you, we'll bring down the opacity. So if we zoom in, you notice that some of the skin tone wasn't selected. So using what I showed you before, you can actually add on to the layer mask by just painting white on the part that you want, and it will be added just like that. See, it's now added. Also, I can subtract the wristwatch from here so that the wristwatch isn't affected. Good. So now that's too dark. I'll bring down the opacity a whole lot. That's to about 62. Okay, let me bring it down a bit more. We just want to tan the skin, not to make him completely black. So another thing I'm going to do is to add some contrast to the skin so that it will pop a bit more. So I'll use my curves again, just as I showed you previously. Bring it down, take this one up, and yep, I'm going to use my hue and saturation adjustment layer here. Bring down the reds. Yep, that looks good. Then I can even add in a color balance adjustment layer. What I'm trying to prove to you right now is that it may not be perfect just when you apply it, so you might just have to tweak it a bit more to get it to look the way you want, but it's a good place to start from. Alright, that's good. Let me group all of these adjustment layers together and reduce the opacity. You can see that's very beautiful. This is before, this is after. It looks amazing. It works like crazy. I can even increase the opacity if I want it to be more intense. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. I hope you learned a whole lot. If you did, click on the like button. Don't forget to check the description box for the link to the free lot that I'm going to give out to you guys. Also, click on the subscribe button if you learned and would want to learn more from me, and ring the bell so that you always be notified. Thanks so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.